Good evening, our esteemed viewers, and welcome to another edition of Perspective. Today we are having a special edition because when we cast our net into the big ocean, fortunately for us, we came up with a very big fish. We came up with the aspiring first female governor of Ogun State, which also happens to be the first sport broadcaster, a female in Africa, in the person of Mrs. Modele Sharafa Yusuf. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You can see she's a woman of substance, and she's a mother indeed, and she wants to rule our state, which is a plus for us. Ma, I want to ask now, you have spent almost 32 years in broadcasting. Why the switch?
Let me start by saying that I don't want to rule Ogun State. I want to serve the people of Ogun State. I want to be an inclusive and transformative leader. I want to make Ogun the state of choice for people to live, work and play, and to be the destination of choice for investors because of its livability, its connectedness, its safety, and the opportunities that will abound by the grace of God in education, in economics, and in why the switch.
Yes,
I didn't answer that question. Well, let me say that I was a broadcaster until 2003, full-time broadcaster until 2003. So I made that switch a long time ago, even though I still do a few things on TV from time to time. People think I continue to be a broadcaster, but that's not the case. After I left NTA in 2003, I went on to become head of sponsorships in Globacom for West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and Benin Republic. I went on to become director of marketing for the American University. And I've since then, when I left the AUA, I set up my own business in marketing communications. So I'm an employer of labor and an entrepreneur, and but in my heart, I continue to be a journalist. Journalism is my first love, and you know that journalists our work is to get a feel of what's happening in society and to report it and to deal with it in our own way, to make changes. To help for changes to happen by reporting those things. So what I do now, what I plan to do now in politics is almost the same thing. Look at what's happening in society, work towards changing it and making our society better. So that's what I do. So it isn't much of a change. It's just a continuation of things I've always done in the last 36 years, not 32 years.
36 years.
Yes, since 1987, since January 1987.
And I don't doubt that you zero the money. And we've had a former governor of Ogun State who happened to be also be a journalist, and he also excelled. So that means if you come in as our governor, there's no doubt that you are going to excel.
By the grace of God, I'll do my best. As I said, we've had two former journalists as governor in Ogun State, Chief Bisi Onabanjo, Chief Olusegun Oshoba. Also, if you remember, one of the best governors of Lagos State, Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, was also a journalist. And our papa, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was not only a lawyer, he was also a journalist. And many journalists in the past have contributed to the Nigerian society, and those are my role models. And by the grace of God, I want to write my own name in the history of Nigeria as a journalist turned a good politician.
People are wondering. You are aspiring to be the first female governor of Ogun State, and you want to unseat an incumbent governor. People are wondering, what is it that, what gave you so much confidence? What is it that we people are not seeing that only you are seeing?
Well, it's not only me that's seeing whatever it is that I saw, because since we started, there's so much support from the people. We have a huge following all over the state. It was as if people were waiting for us. Let me also mention that before we started this journey, we did a survey and we asked people whether things were going well. They didn't think so. We asked whether they were ready for a woman governor, and they said yes. About 80% of people that were interviewed said they were going to support a woman, a good woman who wants to be governor. So it didn't seem so far-fetched, and it didn't seem so difficult. And since we started, as I said, since I declared for governor, we've had a lot of support from men, from women, young people. It's been very heartwarming and very encouraging. So whatever I saw was not only seen by me, it was seen by many people from what I have since gathered.
There is this school of thought that believed women are the owner of politics. Men are just, but because women are supposed to be their own enemies, that population mostly does not work for them. What are you doing to harness all this population of women?
Well, that is a political cliche that women don't work for other women. That has not been my experience. As a matter of fact, since I declared for governor, we've been so encouraged by the women. They've literally owned our campaign. They are almost carrying us on their back and championing the cause. And it's not just women, but women have done so much for us since we started that, as I said, for me, I think that's a political cliche. Do women own politics? Yes. To the extent that they are the ones who, that they're always in the majority when you go to campaigns. Then the majority when it's time to vote. We have a lot of influence over our husbands, over our children, so our views count when it comes to politics. But do we understand that power that we have as women? I wasn't sure until I started, but right now I'm encouraged by the fact that more and more women are beginning to understand not only the power that we have in our numbers, but also the influence that we carry. The fact that there aren't many women in politics is the reason, well, not many women standing up to run for office, is the reason people think that women are not that important in politics. But I think that more and more women are getting involved. I have received so many phone calls, so many visits from women who say, now that you came out to run, I also want to run. I want to do something. I want to help in the campaign. Next time I'm also going to run for office. So, the awareness is getting up. And the fact that the polity itself is ready for women is also is an encouraging sign. The 35% affirmative action that was recently approved, that was recently sanctioned by the courts, is a right step in the right direction. The fact that our party, for example, the Progressives Congress, is allowing women to pay a fraction of the sum that men pay for expression of interest and nomination forms is also a good way forward. The momentum is there for women, and I think we should just ride on it.
I remember that when one woman contested for presidency, the number of votes she had, you could count on her fingers. Because women are like you said, very important in politics, but most of them like to be cheerleaders, face fingers. what can we do to change all this? Because they believe that once you're a woman and you have the support of the women, you're already in. But that's mostly not the case.
Well, once you're a good candidate and you have the support of men and women, you're home and dry. But the point that you made about women not maximizing their potential in politics, there's so many reasons for it. There's a demand and supply side of women's participation in politics. The demand side is the system, the political system itself, the political culture, the way the parties are set up. It's mostly a men's club. Let's be fair. If you have the exco, the party exco, maybe you have one or two women, maybe one woman leader and maybe an assistant secretary or assistant publicity secretary, and the rest are men.
Why is that like that?
So, well, that's how it's always been. So when the woman...
Can we change it?
That's what I'm saying. That's changing now. That's beginning to change. So which is why I said the supply side.
Well, like you said, it's a men's world.
It's a men's club.
They're always having meetings at midnight as a married woman and as a mother.
It was the point I was going to make before you interrupted. And which is I said the political culture. People hold meetings at night. So the woman can leave and attend meetings at night. We are primary caregivers for our children. So we can't always leave them when they're young and participate in politics. Women don't always have as much money as men do to prosecute elections and politicking. So these are the things that affect the demand side. The supply side is the number of women who put themselves forward for politics. Ab initio. The things that affect us is fear of failure, fear of attracting unwanted attention, fear of overreaching ourselves, fear of not being liked, fear of losing money or losing reputation. You know, there's so many fears.
Fear of losing your family.
Of even losing your husband if he doesn't support you, you know. And then the confidence that is required to stand up and say, I can be a governor, or I can be a representative, I can be a senator. You know, we have been acculturized to be modest. When we say a woman is ambitious, it's not always a positive thing. Do you know that? She's very ambitious.
Especially in
African context. You know, so that's the problem. But now things are beginning to change. The political system, the political culture is changing. I haven't held any meetings at night since I started. And not because I'm the one driving the campaign, so I hold meetings during the daytime. I wind up by the time it's evening so I can watch the news and then sleep early. So once more women are involved, so my team and my supporters, they're beginning to get a feel for that kind of behavior. And I'm sure that the grace of God, when we become candidates, we can influence things a little more. And when we have a critical mass of women doing the same thing, we can influence the political culture. And also, when you have an example, I say to people, I want to be a standard bearer. When a woman goes there and he does well, or she does well, whether as governor or as senator, you are opening the door for other women.
There is no doubt that women are better managers of everything.
I hear it said all the time.
It's obvious that women are.
And I believe that.
And if they are entrusted with position of authority, most of them will perform beyond every reasonable doubt. If you are given the position of the governor of the state, What is your agenda? How do you intend to develop the state?
My agenda, I just said to you, my vision is to make this state the state of choice for people to live, work, and play in, and to be a transformative and inclusive leader. Because it's very important. We are a very divisive party, a divided party. There's a lot of divisive rhetoric in the public space, and when you have a conciliatory candidate, a conciliatory leader, then it brings the temperature down, the political temperature. And also, the most important things for me would be security, employment and wealth creation, education. I say that because, and human capital development. You see, Ogun State, our advantage is in natural resources, is in land, is in our very educated people and our proximity to Lagos. When we're able to harness all these four, the sky is our limit. The state is destined to be a world-class state. And my duty as governor will be to harness all of this and make the state achieve the potential that I know it is capable of achieving. Security, for example, they say the devil finds work for the idle hands. The ratio of offending and being a victim of a criminal act is higher when there is poverty, when there is unemployment, where people are not maximizing their potential. And I think that's one of the problems that we have in the state. I'm sure that those who will be criminals will be criminals, even when there's employment for everybody, But the fact that people are not gainfully employed contributes to criminality. And so we will tackle insecurity in a multifaceted manner. It won't just be enforcing the rules, we're enforcing the law, which is one of the things that we will do by empowering the police, making the Amotekun a more vibrant and more viable option for security and for law and order enforcement. We will do that. And then we will also work with our people to gather intelligence. When people feel that they're part of the government and they feel that there's honesty of purpose, they will volunteer information. So that and then when they're gainfully employed, the likelihood of offending is lower. Human capital development. The Yorubas have a saying that omote yobako, limanbelete yobako ta. So we have to prioritize and look at human capital development, getting people to work and getting people to be gainfully employed. Education for employment will be prioritized. Education can be just to cram things, as we used to say in school. But education for employment, technical education, will also be prioritized so that people can do things for themselves. We will also focus on the cottage industries, because when people, you can't just wait for employment. We want our people to create employment for themselves and to employ other people. So those are things that we will work on.
Let's go to politics now. In the next 12 hours, you'll be going for a primaries to be the next and the first female governor of Gateway State.
By the grace of God.
Let's talk about money politics. You know the place of money in politics. What are your chances?
Very bright. Very bright. You know, every time, the first thing people ask me when I say, oh, you're running for office. How much money do you have?
You have the
I say,
financial muscle.
we don't have as much money as the people who have been in this business of politics. Because, you know, trust me, and I use that word advisedly. I use that word with a lot of caution. Politics is business. People invest in politics and then they go there and make their investment and a profit. And for as long as that is the case, we the citizens who enable that kind of behavior, we have no moral right to question what they do. And I think people are beginning to see that, because if someone gives you 2,000 naira, 3,000 naira to vote during the general elections, or he gives you 150,000 naira, 200,000 naira as a delegate during the primaries, and then you don't hear from him for the next 4 years, it's your loss. It's your loss. And as I said, why do we as people allow them to do this to us? So every time people come up with that narrative, we have to get money and give people, we have to get money and give them, I say to them, look, I want to serve. So if you want me to be governor, please vote for me. If you don't, if you think someone else can do it better, please vote for the other person. You know, and you know what? People keep saying, we will vote for you. They keep following us. I do the basic things. I buy t-shirts, I buy caps, I pay for media, I pay for jingles, I make posters. These are things I have to do as a candidate. Another thing that I also found out is because people think, they believe in our candidature, more people are supporting us with items. Only last night, we received 500 t-shirts, 500 caps, and 2,000 posters from someone I hadn't seen in about 12 years. So I think you'll be a good governor, so I'm supporting you with that. People will call and say, can you send me your campaign account number? And I'll send somebody 50,000, 20,000, 10,000. But you know, it's adding up. And so, I think we're at a stage in our politics where people realize that when a good candidate comes forward, we should support that candidate and not just the money bags, because it hasn't worked for us thus far and it will not work for us going into the future.
Very, very, very brilliant, Sandra. We know that it has never worked for us. It's even making things worse for us. But
it's making things worse because people who have the zeal to serve, people who have good ideas, are also afraid to step out, because the first thing they ask is, do you have money? And they know they don't have money, so they sit in their homes and complain. So the society is losing out on the best brains, because the politics is business.
The first order you have to drop now is the delegates.
Vote your conscience. Look at candidates who can deliver. Look at candidates who can make life better for you and your children. Look at candidates who are conciliatory, who can work across party lines, who can work with everybody and make a winning team. So my plea to delegates would be, vote your conscience and vote for the candidates who can deliver.
For the past 5 minutes, we've been discussing politics with the leading female APC aspirant in Ogun State, Mrs. Sharafa Yusuf. this is where we are going to draw the curtain on this special edition of Perspective. Madam, you are welcome once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate your time.
My name is Afolabi Lawal. Stay blessed and good night.